check, mic check, mic check.
Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. Microphone check 1 2. What is this? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Nightcap Knowledge. My name is George Chuck Patterson, and I am a proud graduate of Tougaloo College, 500 West County Line Road, Tougaloo, Mississippi 39174. Root to the Bruz, Mac, Root to the Blue, Root to the Sorors, Root to everybody that came from Tougaloo. As we get into tonight's topic, threatening calls made to Tougaloo. Y'all got threats? Okay, we got that life. Let's go. Another episode of Nightcap Knowledge. Let's get it. All right. Y'all gonna learn today. Well, hey, here we go. Welcome to another episode of Nightcap Knowledge. My name is George Chuck Patterson. I am absolutely glad to be here. It's always a great day on Tuesday.
Yes.
Look, I'm just saying that this is the 231st episode of Nightcap Knowledge. Can't stop, won't stop. Yard boy. There you go. Just for the record. Mac, how you feeling?
Hey man, I feel good, brother. And we gotta tell them the disclaimer. This show, for those in the back, this show is rated black and uncensored.
Turn the microphone down a little bit.
Oh, I'm trying to emphasize uncensored. All right, it's right. We're going where we need to be, right? Real talk, real issues, real solutions. I want them to make sure we are clearly heard, Chuck. All right, back to the scheduled program. I did my part.
Well, I most definitely agree with you. CJ, how you feeling, man?
You're on mute, CJ.
Let me unmute him. There you go. I got you.
Oh, see that he muted me, man. Nah, I'm feeling good, dog. I'm feeling resolute. What up, Mac? Good to see y'all, man. I'm feeling like in a very positive space, though, man, and I'm feeling ready for whatever. So.
Well,
it sounds like we've always operated in that vein. If you stay ready, you ain't got to get
You ain't
ready.
got to get ready. No,
Yes,
You ain't
sir.
got to get ready. So we've had a number of things. Black Widow Chaser broke a story earlier today, and it was it hit close to home. Now I must say that I was excited about Representative Crockett's announcement, or her being announced as the commencement speaker, alongside of Cassius Rudolph being the baccalaureate speaker. I thought that was I mean, they could have had a rap group with Cass and Jazz. In terms it just goes together, man. So
yeah,
the three of us, we are proud Tougaloo alums, and we are no strangers to the spirit of activism. And I think that Jasmine, Representative Crockett, fits right into that mold or that mold. We definitely want to give a
Shout out
shout
to my
out to the class
schoolmate.
of 2025. Congratulations to them. And I hope that with having such a speaker that fits into that mold of activism and resilience and speaking truth to power, I hope that it ignites or either pours a little gas on that flame that was already there.
Right.
And uh, with the attacks on free speech and the onset of propaganda, um, and the misinformation that we've seen as a result of uh 45 47. Yeah, Gloria, I agree with you. She is definitely in the Tougaloo vein with the way that she speaks truth to power. So let's get into it. For those of you that have not seen the 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 representatives, the congresswoman's remarks, she has them up on her YouTube page, and I believe that Tougaloo has that same broadcast on the college's page. On Representative Jasmine Crockett's page, it's been viewed almost 200,000 times, and she's gotten a lot of support. So 12,000 likes on the on that YouTube video, and a number of comments in support of. But that's not the case when we're talking about these threats and things that Tougaloo had to respond to. So CJ, could you give us some insight into the story that we broke early on Black with No Chaser? And then Mac, I want you to talk to us about how it felt on campus on Sunday.
Absolutely. So yeah, uh, Mac, did you want to jump in first, or are you
you go.
okay?
You go ahead, CJ.
Cool, bro. Around about 11 a.m. this morning, Central Time, we received notice that the president of Tougaloo College issued a statement. With that statement, essentially laying out that the school had contacted and received phone calls of a threatening and concerning nature, and that it was in direct correlation to the fact that Representative Crockett had spoken at the school the day prior, or a few days prior, this past weekend, right? Um, in addition to that discontent, we also saw that same sentiment sold in many ways by many people who have never really had any investment in Tougaloo College whatsoever, or the well-being of Tougaloo College until that day, in the form of I would say, for lack of a better term, MAGA supporters, right? Uh, People who are staunch supporters of the ideology that is in a direct alignment with the delusion of white supremacy, right? And so we've seen that seed essentially be sold. in that way. Since we've shared the story, it's been shared on now we shared it on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Meta, all platforms of that nature. We also even shared it on LinkedIn, and it's been receiving a lot of response in the HBCU community as well, with many people supporting, particularly Tougaloo College alumni and current students, and others who have touched and concerned the institution for years, speaking up in the way that is historically correct and accurate with Tougaloo. For those who may not be familiar with Tougaloo, our school, our institution, our beloved institution, is known as the cradle of the civil rights movement. Many civil rights leaders have been cultivated on our grounds. But in addition to that, we were the place that when you set foot in Mississippi, that you set foot too, because we were sacred ground. We were a private HBCU institution, and because of that, we had our own autonomy in the way that we moved, in the way that we spoke to issues, and in the way that we fight. And the one thing that I can assure anybody that threatens Tougaloo, or the alumni of Tougaloo, or the students of Tougaloo, is that that ain't changed about us today. And so that's the thing that I think that we wanted to ensure was very clear as we move forward with this. And with that being said, man, I'm gonna hand it off to Max so he can speak to what the commencement was really like.
Chuck, can you share the part with the letter? I know I see Kenosha is asking about what was said, and what we were saying is we are responding to an actual document that was issued from the president of Tougaloo in regards to threats, threatening calls that were made to Tougaloo. We do not know all of the details of what was said within the call, but we knew it had to be something that
I can say that it was not. Matt, can you hear me? I can say, I can't say what the nature of the call was with regard to any sources that have been relayed to us. What I can say is that it was not a bomb threat or anything of that nature, but that authorities have been communicated with at a high level regarding the nature of the call. I don't know what they're going to do because of the state of the political state of things right now, but high levels of individuals have been reached out to regarding the nature of the threat. And so the goal was by the president to be proactive, by the institutions, by Tougaloo's president was to be proactive in addressing the issue when it was initially made an issue. So I wanted to make sure that was clear.
That's right. So just to recap, Jasmine Crockett is a very outspoken person, and she's outspoken in support of things that benefit the people that she represents. She's not a person that toes the rope of corporate entities that have funded her campaign. She speaks for the people that elected her to the office in which she occupies, and a lot of people that look like us are a part of her congressional district. And then there are those that identify with the way that she calls out BS bullshit in these closed sessions, of Congress. So for those of you that need a little bit of insight, the threat was something of a nature where law enforcement authorities needed to be informed in terms of us, CYA, making a paper trail. It was something that we should inform our local law enforcement agencies about. For those of you that have ever served in any type of leadership capacity, you can make an inference on what could have been said. We don't know all of those details because we don't work at Tougaloo. At least I don't. Mac does not. CJ does not. We are alumni of Tougaloo. We graduated there. We care about the institution deeply. We visit quite often. Our dollars visit more often than we do. And ain't nothing wrong with that. The thing is, I don't think we should focus so much on what threat was made or what the threat was. The thing is, this ain't nothing new.
Right. The thing that I can say, I cannot say, and I'm not saying it because I am aware, and I'm not saying it. I can say what it isn't. It was not a bomb threat. I can say that it wasn't that. I can also say that it was of enough concern that the campus felt the need to secure itself and to make people aware to become secure, and that in addition to local authorities beyond local were contacted with regard to being attentive to this issue.
That's right. So now just to pull up a couple more things. Jasmine Crockett is a known criticizer of the
current administration.
Orange man.
The celebrity in chief is what I was gonna say.
I was going to commander and thief.
Commander and thief. All of those descriptors. Now, there are people that sit behind the scenes of this propaganda machine that we have in our office of president that activate people to do certain things. So after a person that openly speaks out against or in criticism of the person that occupies the office of president says some things that they can use to rile up, to activate, to incite their base, they will use that because it is a distractor from the truth, in my opinion. It is a part of their playbook so that they can keep the wool pulled over the eyes of the sheep that are following them to slaughter. Now, the one thing that
right.
Gloria say D5 is his new name that Jasmine D5. Look, you can't give him that cooler nickname, in my opinion. Like that's like putting him in the same nickname game as Jackson 5, like the J5 or Hawaii 5-0. You know, like you can't give him that cooler nickname. He could be 45, 47, Agent Orange, the Tangerine Supreme, like all of those things, the celebrity in chief, like you know, Boo Boo the Fool, you know, all of those things, you know, they work for me. Like I like those nicknames that say exactly who he is. Now, to keep moving this thing forward, we don't want to focus too much on the fool in the office. We really want to focus on the things that have happened and the impact of it. Now, the things that have happened, the college, which has let's say this, a few days prior, Tougaloo and some of the let's say directors of programs at Tougaloo made an announcement that funding for a particular program was cut, and students and the Jackson Heart Study, the Jackson Heart Studies program was cut, or funding for that program was cut due to some of the cuts that were made at the federal level. And then that trickle down effect happens in the NIH, National Institutes of Health, and other government agencies, and Jackson Heart Study, and the scholars that are associated with Jackson Heart Study are affected from that particular decision. What that means is that a lot of kids are losing funding or their resource that pays their bill for them to be able to be a Tougaloo College student. Now that's just the Tougaloo, because hey, we keeping it real Tougaloo right now. Now the Jackson Hart Study is a larger institution, much larger than most people understand. Now, what does that mean? That's just one bullet point on the list of things. Now you fast forward to Jasmine Crockett being on campus at Tougaloo, in a safe place in the cradle of the civil rights movement, being able to speak as she would in any other moment, but in this moment, she's speaking to the graduating class of Tougaloo College, the 2025 class. She's speaking to the silver class of 2000, and then the golden class in 1975. Now, all of that being the background story of where we are, where we have been, who's there, and how do we get to today when we break this story about threats to Tougaloo College. The thing is, we find ourselves in a situation where we should be following our own playbook, and some of this has been laid out from Mac inside of Herbal World. A lot of it is promoted from Black Window Chaser, from Mississippi Black Pages. A lot of people, Dr. Lakeisha Hallman, are laying out the playbook of how we should be moving right now. We are under attack. We have been under attack. Everything that we've built, everything that we've been able to improve upon, in spite of the systemic pieces of government, the systemic pieces of economic agenda, economic assault, all of these things are in play, and we've been under attack. The thing is, some of us have been living in an illusion or disillusion, and we don't really understand where we are, who we are, and what we should be doing, how we should be moving.
Yeah, I think that like y'all are hitting on a great deal of points, man. When you really think about it, they're targeting historically Black colleges and universities all across the country right now. They are defunding them. Howard they just discussed not renewing a $64 million grant at Howard University this upcoming year. And so, technically speaking, they are utilizing or using and leveraging funding to control our institutions, as well as to control predominantly white institutions as well. We're seeing the way that they're being spoken to, and the way that institutions are being dictated to, and the way that a lot of them are folding. In the face of that adversity, you have one school that is, I think it was, I want to say it was, I'm not sure if it, I don't want to misstate which school it was, but Joy Reid shared a story of one law school, Ivy League law school, that demanded that their students stand down from speaking up on social justice issues, or face the consequences of not being able to sit for their finals. And the question that I posed was, how would a professor want me to answer the question about the First Amendment of the Constitution? Should I answer it honestly, if I was to be able to sit for the final, or should I answer it in the way that the school seems to be in alignment with, that is distinguishable from the right of free speech, and which we know that was something that they didn't value anyway. But freedom in and of itself is under attack right now, and it's being disguised as democracy. It's being disguised as representation. It's being disguised as patriotism. And so it's an incredibly dangerous time right now, and that's why they feel emboldened to do things like make those calls again. These calls ain't no different from the calls we was getting when Dr. King was coming to campus, when we were doing the marches against fear, which, I mean, Matt, you know, you have made this your life's work. I mean, we all have. And so I think that's something that as us working critically in a civil rights space that we can really speak to and lean upon right now, because we are living in a time where we are finally, in a lot of ways, experiencing the things that our mentors was telling us about before today.
I don't know, for some of the more recent graduates of Tougaloo might not understand that this is the same institution in modern time that opened its doors for Minister Farrakhan to come and speak in 2002. And not only did we have Minister Farrakhan there, we also had the new formation of the new Black Panther Party that was there in the gym that spoke. So we have always been challenged on who we allow to come on our campus to speak, because the people that come and speak power to our folks and about the issues that are going on. Freedom of speech is okay, as long as you're not saying anything about what I'm doing or how it's being done. Then you are a person that's antagonizing or gaslighting, whatever the terms they want to use, because again, they use and operate out of fear. So Tougaloo has not vocal yet.
Say that again, Mac.
And now we are in the process of being that change agent group of Tougaloo. Advocate. Can you hear me? It's storming up here too, Chuck.
I heard that thunder.
It's storming up here too, so I might be going. Yeah. So and that and matter of fact, that's something else again that we talked about, because when it comes to disaster response, these areas that are hit are always predominantly Black areas that are hit, to the point where we don't have the resources to help them. That's why we try to be so proactive in helping, because there's no one coming to help us. And the little help that we did have, hell, y'all took that away. So it's really on us. Shit, when we say it's about us, it's really about us. You know what I'm saying? Fuck the dumb shit. It's really about us. And we got to make sure we make a plan.
Oh, man, damn.
To take.
I hate this computer messing up. So,
yeah.
That storm getting, man. That storm is interfering with his. I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? Like we can't.
Chuck, I can't hear you.
So look, I muted myself trying to mute Mac because it was in robot zone.
Yeah, the storm is
yeah, the storm is definitely impacting Mac, and now we've lost his video too. So he back and he look a little clear. Let's see. Mac, can you hear me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you about 8 seconds behind. So just for the record, folks, give us some grace. We're experiencing some technical difficulties because of weather, and also the digital economic divide that is a reality. If you're not familiar with the digital economic divide, it's when certain communities have slower internet than others. So when you have fiber in certain communities and you're still operating on dial-up or coax in others, that's the digital divide that we speak of. And other programs and campaigns you'll be hearing more about from Mississippi Move and Black with No Chaser very, very soon. If you want to support the work, you can make some donations right now. MississippiMove.org is a 501c3 organization recognized by the IRS. You can make a donation right now at msmove.org. I think CJ's probably going to throw that in the comments. And we want to say, definitely give a shout out to everybody that is checking in. Terrell Kroon, we pay all of our bills on time, but we just explained to you why you should make a donation right now so we can pay our internet bills on time and get some better internet. But we may have to I ain't giving Starlink nothing, so forget them. But But CJ, thank you for getting that in the comments. Now I want to pivot just a little bit. Mac, you did the reception on campus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what the vibe was after the speech in the president's home.
So, so let me tell you this. First of all, campus was packed. Campus was packed. Trying to get there. By the time we got there, the gate. You know, I talk with my hands and I'm sitting down, so I had to make it work. So you had to go through the gate on, by Health and Wellness Center, but the energy was high. It was a really nice day. The message was really good, and to really touch the class 2025 as she motivated them and talked in the name that she gave him and talked about, the truth of the matter of what's going on, what they need to expect, when they graduate. She ended her speech by saying, when you leave here, you got to be ready to put your boots on the ground. And then they played a little bit snippet of boots on the ground. Yeah. And then if you follow her, she had to leave immediately, right? So they got her out. The energy was still high. Folks were still, right then, everything kept going real smooth. People were excited. But from what I heard was, by the time she got on her plane and got off, she had somebody had made a tweet about her. Commander in Thief had already made a tweet. And so you can find that all that stuff is publicized. Because she spoke about, like, you can't even get off your plane for coming doing commencement. He's already made a comment about you, right? So the biggest fear is the fear that your fear tactics are not working. That's the greatest fear that they have, right? And we talking about these racist ass white folks and those of people that are in power, right?
Right.
That's your biggest fear is that your fear tactics are not working, because we still have models, we still have people that are leading the charge, we still have folks that are providing hope. And now we're like, okay, we're gonna keep moving forward. That's the biggest fear. And out of all the tricks that you keep pulling, you're very petty. You know what I'm saying? Very, very petty. That and Harvard was the school of law that filed a lawsuit. And because Harvard filed a lawsuit against them, you said you're gonna cut their tax exempt status. So anybody that push back, you try to hurt them. But when you don't have a way to hurt them, then you try to use empty threats and I'm saying, that's what he's been doing with Congresswoman Crockett. But then his little cronies feel empowered that they have someone that speak the way they want to speak. So now they feel that they can do certain things on a local level that is in line with what he's doing on a larger level. Yes. Well, here's what we want to tell you, along with the song that from 803 Fresh about boots on the ground. We have a new version of that between Black with No Chaser and Nightcap Knowledge. Where them hands at, right?
Hey, let them know.
Hey, now look.
Ass on the ground.
Hold on, Mac. Hold on, Mac.
Listen. Talk to him, man. Hey, look. Tougaloo is in Tougaloo, Mississippi / Jackson, Mississippi, but we can get Montgomery on them real quick, though. I promise.
Oh, she talked about that too. She talked about that in her speech too. She talked about we sit at chairs, we know how to use a chair in multiple ways. She said that in her speech also. So she did highlight that, right? And that's another thing. You're not afraid to say the shit that need to be said.
I know that made
turn the knob on your microphone down, Mac.
My bad. Go ahead. I did.
I did. Mac, the table, right?
Check.
Mac, don't do this.
Check.
All right, check. All right. Now, CJ, you say
something. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. I heard that she talked about seats at tables, but sometimes you got to pull up your own chair to the table, and sometimes you got to pull up your chair for other things too. Fold up your chair, and so that made them feel a way. And I understand that, but when you got when you got Bull Connor in the executive seat at the highest level, it's why that is the reason why someone asked me earlier who all was involved with conducting investigations.
Uh-huh.
And I said, well, due to the state of things, even if they are involved, I'm not sure how invested someone can be in that involvement, because we understand that, you know, a lot of people these days who are agents of this administration are just doing their jobs in a lot of ways that are to the detriment of black and brown folk across this nation, as we speak. And so we are witnessing that in real time. And it was NYU, y'all. It was NYU Law School that essentially tried to contract with their students to agree not to protest in order to be able to sit for their exams. They subsequently did an about face on that. So you got them attempting to control institutions, control what they teach, how they teach, who they teach, and if you control what students say, and taking away money from the school based on that. The main reason the Jackson Hart study is pulled is because it is something that specifically is in a black institution that is for the purpose of the health and betterment of black folks, and that it benefits black students. And so they called it a DEI initiative in that regard. And that is why they did what they did with regard to that. But they're also targeting things like the African American History Museum in Washington, D.C., trying to remove history of resistance directly from those museums. And they're doing that specifically for the purpose of trying to erase the notion that we ever resisted or that we ever should. So everything that is being done right now directly is tied into resistance, blackness, funding black folks, black and brown folks in our advancement. And we even saw him tactically attempting to do this prior to him actually entering office, when they first targeted nonprofits, right, with policy that they were trying to implement. And now they target things, they target nonprofits, and they were trying to implement policy with regard to that. And they were trying to implement policy. They were trying to go through the Supreme Court to deter black businesses from being able to get funding from black venture capitalists that supported black women-owned businesses, black men-owned businesses, black people-owned businesses. And so if you think about it, they're attempting to do multiple things at once. And I want to say one of the last few times I was on, we talked about this too. But they're trying to cut off at the knees our ability to challenge the issues, because
that's exactly what they're trying to do.
By taking our access to resources, by taking our access to opportunities, and by threatening us with violence and threatening us with jail, because they're also talking about that now. You know, can we detain citizens? And now they're talking about sending, you know, and I'm not saying this to be fear-mongering, but they're negotiating with I don't know if it's, let me find out which African country it is that they've been negotiating with to do something similar to what they've been doing in El Salvador.
Yeah. You
know,
with all that being said, guys, and I appreciate everybody that's leaving comments right now. And then Mac, thank you for that remix, bro. Man, like, I definitely think we need somebody to make that like one of our hip hop aficionados. One of our friends definitely could remake that song for us. Now, but more seriously, what are our action steps moving forward? I know that Tougaloo has certain things that they have to do, but as Mississippi Move, as Black with No Chaser, and all of the people that we work in concert with, we're going to be doing things behind the scenes, right? We will be working in collaboration with each other. But for folks out there that are tuned into this, I think there are a part of our families that are not aware of how they're being targeted and threatened. Because this was a very overt thing. So, Matt, jump in on that for me.
So, just like Dr. J was saying, that the playbook that they've been using is an old playbook. When we talk about the opposition, we talk about conservative, racist whites, right? Klan members, whatever you want to call them. But the playbook for resiliency and organizing on our part is out there too, right? When they cut off funding and welfare in the Delta, Dick Gregory, Harry Belafonte, and Sidney Poitier provided truckloads of food for our people that was in need. Because again, they try to control us with resources. It's the same thing they do with foreign countries. You do destroy the economic way for you to sustain yourself. Then I come back and offer you rations, and you're supposed to be happy that I gave you rations. Continue to control your dollar. Continue to control your and educate your community. Continue to be very vocal in the selection process of your local uh, political officials, right? Because that's your help create your
Right.
safety net, right? So your alderman, city council, um, supervisor, whoever's running for office, understand the capacity, as we always say, the capacity of that position and the capacity of that person. How does that position directly affect you? How can it assist you? How can it help you? How can it hurt you? But understanding being self-sufficient and independent, do for self mentality, supporting our community, supporting our businesses. Again, when we said defund and stop supporting Walmart, what's the alternative? So if we're going to say stop supporting this business because it's not friendly to us, then we need to align and say what business. Going back again to history, the Green Book, right? Where should we be doing business at, and who should we be doing business with? Because telling someone to stop doing something without filling that void is going to increase the chances of them not doing it, right?
Mhm.
So we have to make it very simple, very plain, and go back to what we plan on doing this summer as we continue to celebrate the new Freedom Summer Project and organizing and educating and putting money where mouth is and identifying these students that might need help. And that's coming up with a financial plan to help assist Tougaloo. We'll make sure that these children can still go to school and let them know
Right.
that their tactics do not work. Come hell or high water, we're going to make sure that these children get educated and go be a vital piece of society that help fight against the type of shit that you're trying to spread. We're going to have to
Mhm.
intentionally be about that. Train our community to
Right.
know how to look for threats and to
Mhm.
advocate and fight against the threats. That's what we
Mhm.
got to do. And it's when I say we as inclusive is you might not even know that you're being threatened because you don't know how to recognize the threat, whether it be physical
There
or
you go.
what it may be. We need to know and know your spider senses need to be going off that hey, if they are doing this, if they are saying this, right? And we'll be clear, we're not saying Agent Orange had something to do with the phone call at Tougaloo. What we're saying is his messaging has empowered a lot of people to be very, very,
Yeah.
very, very free with themselves and how they
Yeah.
can speak and how they can act. And we want
Yeah.
Right.
to address it on a local area
They
on how we're
they
going to handle
their speech is getting freer while ours is diminishing. Uh,
it. Correct.
at least on the surface. That don't mean be scared to talk. This is a time where as Mac is stating, it's not a time to be reactive. It's very much a time for us to be proactive. And I don't just mean in the way that we talk about things, but in the way that we prepare. Uh,
Right.
this is a time in which we should be preparing ourselves for
Yeah.
a number of things, and that's not anyone being alarmist. That's the reality of what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a pending. If you don't already feel like it's a dictatorship, I'm here to tell you that there are. It's models. If you go look at Mao and and the Republic of China during Mao's administration, go look at that.
Yeah.
Go look at early Putin's administration, and if you look at the way that the media is being dictated to and being
Yes, sir.
controlled, if you look at the way that education and thought leaders are being dictated to and controlled, if you look at the way that law firms even had to bend the knee and were being
Right.
dictated and controlled, you look at the way that the Supreme Court is being ignored, and you will begin to understand that we are in a different time right now. And because of that, we have to prepare ourselves to be independent of the times, from the way we eat, um, to the way that we care for ourselves, and so that when we talk about things like farming and gardening, I know that that's an
Right.
initiative that's been happening at Tougaloo. Shout out. to the
Shout out to the
brothers and sisters.
farmers.
Yeah, shout out to the farmers that's been doing that thing there. I think that's something that many of us are going to have to become more invested in
That's right.
on getting our hands literally dirty level, but also helping to
Yeah.
fund those things. Go ahead, Mac.
Yeah. So look, Mac,
So,
Kroon just hit the comment. I want you to expound a bit more about the OG Freedom Summer Project and then the new Freedom Summer Project. Okay.
okay. So the new free, and I was just going to connect the dots. So the new Freedom Summer Project it consists of Mississippi Move and the Hollis Watkins Muhammad Human Development Foundation. And in 2021, when we were using 911 Palmyra Street, which is i.e. Sankofa, where Brother Hollis was, as he was, his health was failing, he helped us start the new Freedom Summer Project. And we have one of the last videos of him teaching the song to a lot of the folks that attended. My daughter was able to participate. We had Young Venom and his son was there, and they were just so happy. But we started using different methods, like the read and feed method, where we use Black-owned comic book store with Black-owned comic book leads to educate and help improve the reading capability of our children. And it's an intergenerational summer camp. So it's not just for youth, but also youth and adults, so we can learn from each other.
Right.
The other part was civic engagement. And the civic engagement piece was what Brother Hollis brought to the part. The third, what we had was we did Keep Swinging, which was by Coach Freeman Watkins. Keep Swinging would also talk about the discipline, self confidence, and things that come with boxing, but also in life, you got to keep swinging. And then we had Therapeutic Thursday. We did everything from goal setting to have trauma circles. Just so happened we had a trauma circle, and big shout out to Latibi for coming participating and doing those trauma circles, because we talked to the students that had been affected by the shooting at the fair. So we continue to build up on the bridge that brought us where we are now, that folks like Brother Hollis and other civil rights activists and members of SNCC that continue to do for Freedom Summer. And we really celebrated last year. We celebrated the 60th. But
right.
Something we started years ago, we did not know how important it is that we need that type of model now to be able to reach students and work with students.
Yeah.
Also, what I started this year, because Brother Hollis, was doing his civil rights movement, also worked with a lot of farmers, because farmers, a lot of them were self-sustained, organized, and they've been hunting for years. So they was well-rounded people. He grew up the same way. So we started an ag health project, which is an ag health project that's shared between Mississippi Move and Epps Institute for Healthy Family Community Living. That talks about the benefits of everything that falls under the environment and agriculture. I also will be moderating that conversation around environmental health at the Men's Health Conference in August, where our brother Roland Martin will be speaking. So you definitely want to be there, because he's definitely going to address a lot of this stuff. But we are putting together some simple snippet videos, and I'm going to get with Chuck about how we're going to do that to help people understand basic ways to be able to plant and garden. So I just planted about 2 acres by hand. We use the tractor to disc it and cultivate it, but we put the seeds in the ground by hand. So this is something that, for those who don't have that background, is going to be it's going to be a big necessity. But we can show you simple ways to do that. So that might be a whole nother conversation for those who are interested in learning how to do simple gardening and things of that nature. If that's something people are interested in, definitely let us know, and we'll make a show about it, and we'll give some examples and some snippets. But that's the answer to both questions.
Yeah. Just to give a bit more context, Mac, the Black Men's Health Equity Conference will be held August 23rd, 2025 at the Student Center, Jackson State University, right?
Yes,
this
sir.
is listed on the visitjackson.com website. If you want more information about the Black Men's Health Equity Conference, you can go to the website for the Institute for the Advancement of Minority Health. I am dropping that in the comments right now. Tougalooing, Dr. Sandra Carr Melvin has After exiting Tougaloo as a staff member, she started this institute, and she has been doing phenomenal work. She's also been employing Tougalooans along with Jackson State graduates and other Mississippians. So when we hear those buzzwords about job creation, about building things for your community, we've been the people that have been doing that. So we've got a number of things that we're going to continue to inform you on. Nightcap Knowledge is about putting something on your head before you go to bed. These are things that you should be knowledgeable about. These are things that you should be concerned about. These are things that you should be having drinks and talking about. So
Right.
when you get with your people, y'all shouldn't just be smoking a blunt and not actually having conversations about things that that only occur on reality TV. I don't give a damn about the Kardashians. You can watch them. That's cool. That's cool. But what I'm saying is that if y'all are, y'all got a bottle, these are some of the things that you can discuss. And I'm telling you, man, I've been to the Village Kitchen. I've been to a number of other places in the Jackson, Mississippi area. People are having a great time, but there are also conversations that are happening that are that have depth, that have implications that reach outside of the fun cycle that you need to maintain your sanity, just so that you can keep going. You need that break. You need that release. You need that opportunity to kind of just let loose and reconnect with people that share your that share your heart, that share your best interest, that share an interest in seeing the community that you live in do well. You need those times where you can be celebratory. You need a commencement. You need those milestone moments where you can say, I am happy to see what the people that we've poured into have achieved. But I also want to be able to say, man, I'm concerned about this. Go ahead, CJ. I see you want to jump in. Dog, you on mute.
My bad, dog. My bad. I just wanted to say that I found it interesting that many of the outlets that shared Congresswoman Crockett's commencement speech at Tougaloo College were conservative outlets or conservative leaning outlets that were sharing it for the purpose of outrage. And I think it is a very good indicator of where their principles really are. Many folks who are of conservative leaning nature stated that they were voting at the time that they voted for because milk and the cost of milk and eggs was getting too high, and that's what drove them. But many of these outlets that are sharing the comments of Congresswoman Crockett are sharing those comments to sow racial division.
Yes.
Even more.
Yes.
They never highlighted our institution before today. And I would challenge many of the other outlets to share what she said for the alternative purpose, to continue to embolden folks who look like us, to feel empowered, to feel like, you know what, we ready to fight back. We ready for whatever y'all ready for. And I think that needs to become very, very clear, because it's something that must be understood innately within us at this point, is that we are hurtling towards a very problematic time in American history. And I think that that's what you were trying to say just a few moments ago. And I'm not saying this to be alarmist, but we are no longer in a space where people can tiptoe around issues or try to straddle the fence on them. It's going to be a very clear line that is going to be drawn, that is being drawn in the sand right now, and you're going to be on one side of it or the other side of it. That's just the reality of where things are, and so that's why we see them sharing those things, because that's who's talking about her commencement speech right now. who's highlighting her commencement speech right now. And as you said, the person who shared the person who shared her talked about her for the reason that they talked about her was to create exactly the type of climate that it has created. He is the one that emboldens these people to behave in the manner in which they feel emboldened to behave. We, on the other hand, and not in a reactionary way, must be as emboldened, if not more emboldened, to stand 10 toes down on our sides of issues as well. And so I commend my schoolmate Jasmine Crockett. I salute her for coming to our alma mater and saying what needed to be said and issuing a charge to our young people and really to our asses too.
Most definitely. I appreciate you wrapping us up like that. It does give us some marching orders on how to move forward. I believe that we have to continue to remind and to bring max consistency into this closing. We have to speak to people in a way that they understand. To take it back a step further, Brother Hollis Watkins Muhammad says that you have to put things and wrap it up in the third grade level so that somebody that needs to elevate the conversation can have that basic understanding. And if they want to talk about it at an elevated level, they can do that. But at the inception of your conversation, make it plain. Baptist preachers, missionary Baptist preachers, the American Missionary Association, all of these preachers that do their thing, they make it plain. The thing that I'll say before I give some additional closing remarks is that I'm gonna bring Dr. Fahmy into this. Dr. Fahmy is a math instructor at Tougaloo. He was my calculus professor. Dr. Fahmy had a conversation with me regarding Coptic Christianity. He says the Christianity that I believe in is older than the Christianity that is known in this or these United States. So the curated Bible that a lot of us like to consume and quote scriptures from, we have to understand that it is curated. There are things that we don't know, and there's nothing wrong with understanding that you don't know everything. The thing is, or the problem arises, is that when we understand that we don't know everything and we choose not to learn more. So with this being a show called Nightcap Knowledge, we want you to seek knowledge and also uphold tradition. And in the tradition of Tougaloo College, we want you to become active in your community. We want you to create safe spaces for conversations to be had, safe spaces for freedom of speech. And if there is no safe space to do that, just say forget it and keep going. Just create it. Like, forget it. If ain't no safe space, we'll do it in danger. Mm-hmm. We're gonna show you where them hands at. We're gonna fight for freedom. We're gonna fight for justice. We're gonna fight for equality. We're gonna fight for our people, and we're gonna stand up for our rights.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom. So there it is.
For sure. And I don't care. Look, I don't care what nobody say. You got to get to where the money reside, baby. You got to get to where the money reside. Wait. The Black Men's Health Equity Conference, Saturday, August 23rd, Jackson State University in Jackson, Mississippi. The keynote speaker will be none other than Roland Martin. The admission is free. You can go to Minority Health Institute's website. We appreciate y'all for tapping in, checking in, tuning in with us. website to register is on the screen right now. Minority-institute.org. Thank y'all for tuning in, tapping in. Thank y'all for the comments. Thank y'all for your support. This is Nightcap Knowledge.
Wait.